People get so mad because of how honest I've been lately.
I did everything I could at the time to save Anthony. And then that son of a bitch spins it that I did nothing. It's all horse shit.
He texted me thinking he was texting Jimmy. I was called a C. To have that guy stab me in the back, I think he's a completely horrendous, terrible person. You know, I swear to you, he continues with that, I will sue him. Mel Karmazin insisted I go to his office. And this is what he said, and it's going to piss off a lot of people, but it's the God's honest truth once again. The show doesn't work without you. Yes, he said that. People that used to be a big part of the Paltalk room, they said, oh yeah, Anthony was fucking trashing you on Paltalk while you guys were doing the radio show. This is insanity. Could you take Ant in a fight? Oh, well, this is an Opie and Anthony question, and you paid for it, so I will answer the question. It would be a no contest. I'm sorry. It would be a no contest. Of course I can. Was there ever a doubt? You know, if you weren't at the show, Anthony and Jimmy would have just done Jocktober all the time. Jay Warren. Whatever. What are you gonna do? Both those guys were very unappreciative of what I brought to the table. Years and years of experiences and little nuances. I studied radio for a very, very long time. And there's so many little tiny things you do on a regular basis on a regular show that makes the damn show that much better. And they never understood that, I don't think. But that's, what are you going to do, man? Water under the bridge. That show ended. Man, I think we're getting close to 10 years without the Opie and Anthony show. I think I lost track a while ago, but I think it's close to 10 years. I got a little super chat action. Do you think you'd make millions without Ant or Jim? Michael, $1.99. I was well on my way, Michael, well on my way. I would have done just fine. But one of my talents was finding very talented people and putting shows together. So if it wasn't Ant or Jim, it probably would have been other people. So my answer is absolutely. Of course I would have. That's what's so terrible about these haters who I really believe are literal traitors. Like, they hate on me the most, and I was the one that had the vision for the Opie and Anthony show. I was doing a version of Opie and Anthony before Anthony. And then I continued to develop it. And the show I was doing before Anthony was very, very successful locally on Long Island. Very successful. And I was getting offers all over the place already. And then I'm like, okay, this vision, I got to pump this up more. And then I chose Anthony. And then after that, I'm like, we can pump this up even more with kind of a comedian sniper dude. So I picked Jimmy. Like, the whole thing was my vision. So of course I would have been made millions without those guys. It would have just been different with different guys. Stupid haters, a bunch of effing traitors going after the guy that literally had planted the effing seed for a show that they enjoyed for decades. They could go F themselves at this point. They're dishonest pieces of garbage. All right. Yeah, of course. He's proving that. Thank you, Adam. The hell is Jimmy doing without the Opie and Anthony show? He's just rotting and watching his numbers slowly go down, and his venues are getting smaller and smaller. So shut your mouth to that guy, because I know what you were trying to do. Jimmy's nothing without Opie and Anthony, and he's living off the fame of the show to this day, and it's just slowly going like this. And that's a fact. And if you want to deny that, then you're a dishonest person. Jim is terrible without O&A. Of course he is. He's one of the luckiest people I've ever met in my life. God. And then he thought he was more than he was. That's what's so sad about that guy. He thought he was more than he was, and then he squeezed me and Anthony out. But Anthony won't acknowledge that. Jimmy squeezed Anthony out too. Look, my gut says that they got crazy-ass stuff on each other, and that's why Anthony continues to play the game. Because the fact is, like, Jimmy squeezed him out too. Anthony should be furious over Jim Norton. But probably when they were hanging out, they probably have really good dirt on each other. So he plays some dumb game with it. He should be really annoyed by Jimmy. Literally, when the company got rid of Anthony, Jimmy sat in his seat. That's who he should have been annoyed by. Have you seen a documentary called The Least Professional Broadcaster about Sam Roberts? Highly recommended. Now, I like I said, I don't click on any of that garbage. I do think Sam Roberts is an absolute terrible fucking person. Could be one of the worst out of all of them, to be honest, because we were legit friends. Took him on vacation, paid for everything. And to have that guy stab me in the back, I think he's a completely horrendous, terrible person. The other guys I actually didn't really have a close friendship with. But I did not click on that, no. And I won't click on that. You're mad at Anthony. You're mad at Anthony, your guy, for not agreeing with your lie. You are mentally, I'm mentally unstable. Okay. Out of the three guys from the Opie and Anthony show, I'm mentally unstable. Okay. This guy woke up nice and early to just obsess and hate. They're trying to push the mentally unstable thing because I was brave enough to talk about my mentally ill mom. Okay. Yeah, all right. Do you understand the type of people I worked with? And you're trying to say I'm the one that's mentally unstable? Shut up. Isn't mental instability required for good radio? Yeah, I'll tell you the God's honest truth, man. You know, my comfort zone was being with insane people. And that's why when I was building a massive radio show, I found the insane people. If you want to know the truth, that's exactly what happened. My comfort zone was what was chaos. Not anymore, by the way. And maybe that's why some people find me a little more boring these days, because I don't feel like living in that chaos. But that was my comfort zone. If there wasn't insane things happening around me, then I couldn't be bothered. I blew off good, solid people that could have been really, really good friends in my life because they were a bit on the boring side. Now I just got normal friends, which I like. When me and Anthony were on top of our game, there was a book publisher that really wanted us to write a book. And we're like, holy crap. I do believe that me and Anthony were offered $1 million each to write a book together about our career up to that point. You know, all the stuff that happened in Boston, the Sex for Sam thing in New York, and everything in between. We were about to sign that contract. We're like, holy shit, quick $1 million. I believe that was just to get going. And then there was some incentives, you know. Anyway, we're like, hell yeah, Bob Eatman, we'll do that. You know, super agent Bob Eatman, who's no longer with us. The company came to us and said, oh, we hear you're writing a book. And we're like, hell yeah, it's going to help our radio show. It's going to help you. Get more people listening to the current radio show. They're like, yeah, one problem. If you write about Howard Stern in your book, you'll be fired. This is another true story. I'm telling you, man, Howard Stern's skin, he plays tough on the radio. But first of all, he gets his hair did every morning to go on the radio. That's not a tough guy. And then the thing you learn is that his skin is this thin. Wait, can I make it even thinner? Wait, let me try to make it even thinner. Howard Stern's skin is this thin. So the company's like, you can't write about Howard Stern or we'll fire you. I'm like, what are you talking about? That's like, we would have, God, at least 2 or 3 solid Howard Stern chapters in a Opie and Anthony book. We couldn't do it. And I'm like, oh my God. And the other side of it, the company was paying us good money. So it wasn't like we could just blow off the salary they were giving us. And long story short, we never wrote the Opie and Anthony book because the company once again came to us and put the kibosh on it. They always made it so much harder to be successful and to build an audience. I mean, I saw the path. I saw the path a million years ago. I'm like, if you just stay out of the effing way, I got you. I will deliver one of the greatest radio shows of all time, but you got to stay out of my way. And they would just put landmines all over the place that we had to zig and zag around. And for the most part, we were still very, very successful, even though they made it very, very hard. Fast forward a whole bunch of years. Now they don't pay $1 million for a book anymore. I mean, if I try to write a book and I shopped it around, I don't even know. I haven't done this in a while, but they might offer me maybe 100,000, maybe. And I think that's a bit on the high side. So for now, I'll just keep telling my stories on the Opieradio podcast. You know, I swear to you, I'm not even joking. He continues with that, I will sue him. I am not even close to mentally ill, and I will sue him over that. And then let's see what's going to happen. Literally, I worked with two insane people, and then they're the ones that are going to try to spin it that I'm mentally ill. Because I was brave enough to talk about a mentally ill mom, because a lot of people go through life with someone in their family, someone close to them that is mentally ill. So I'm like, you know what? I'm going to relate to the people and tell them that I had a really hard time with a mentally ill mom. But I'm here to say, and I'm going to say it again, that it was something that worried me and the rest of my siblings. So we've all been checked out for all sorts of stuff. And I'm clean as can be. There's no mental illness in this head, and I'm sorry to say. I got some touches of some weird things, and that's about it. It's a very serious thing in my family, and we've all have gone through some things to make sure, we're okay. And it turns out, guess what? We're okay. Sorry to say. Oh, he's just the worst. Thank God I don't have to see his stupid fucking gravel face anymore. Thank God. One of the greatest days of my life, knowing I didn't have to walk in that studio anymore with a miserable person who just wants to start crap with everybody around him. How many current fights, how many current problems does the guy have? Thank God. That was another time I tried to quit. After Anthony took major shots at my brother's restaurant. My brother can't afford somebody taking major shots at his restaurant. So, and then I was called a C when he texted Jimmy. No, he texted me thinking he was texting Jimmy. I guess he was really hungover that day. So he calls me a little C because I was sticking up for my brother because he was trashing my brother's restaurant. This is insanity. Absolute insanity. So when someone texts you the little C won't even look at me today, and he texted to me instead of Jimmy, I'm like, I'm done. So I left for that time. I left for 2 or 3 days. And then Mel Karmazin insisted I go to his office. And this is what he said, and it's going to piss off a lot of people, but it's the God's honest truth once again. He goes, if you don't come back, the show is over. The show doesn't work without you. Yes, he said that. And then he said, if you want to reinvent yourself, I want you to reinvent yourself here at SiriusXM. So then I went back to the show, which was stupid again. At that point, I should have ran away. And the rest is history. Then the show played out with Anthony going on an insane racist rant, and then he blames everybody except himself. I don't want to spend my mornings just babbling about that crap. When I have to, I'll say some things, and then the dishonest people out there will say, all he does is talk about Anthony, when the fact is, overwhelmingly, we talk about so many more things, and it's just a tiny little piece of my live stream. That is a fact. There's absolutely insane people. They're insane. It was just a radio show, Jesus. It wasn't even, it was just a radio show, you lunatics.
How does Sam get his? I don't know. I mean, they're not setting the world on fire. That's for sure. There's a million podcasts out there that are doing way better than Jim and Sam. Few people that I still, I know, maybe I shouldn't. I got it now. A few people that I still keep in touch with. They go, there's a bunch of us. We just don't go on that show anymore because we have a bigger audience on our podcast. They're like the old days when we went on Opie and Anthony. We went on there because you guys had such a huge following, and we knew on the other side of it that we would get more people listening to our podcast or more people going to our gigs. And now just going on that show is a complete waste of time. We get nothing out of it.
I don't care who hates Hope. I don't care if they say he's washed up or he's insane or whatever lies they spit out. Opie is the destroyer, and I'm all in with the Opester. Bravo. Thank you, sir. Well, there is a lot of bullshit out there. A lot of bullshit. And I finally decided I had to fight back and give my 2 cents. And then people don't want to believe my side of things. What are you going to do? All you can do is give your 2 cents, and then it'll be up to the people to decide what they want to do with that information. All right? I'm not doing it back and forth or any of that horse shit. Fighting back, taking my shots when I have to, and hopefully just literally moving forward with other things. But that has become problematic at times. I'm not going to lie to you.
Oh, go F yourself. I've answered this question a million fucking times. Do you view your decision not to put your job on the line when Anthony was fired as a mistake? Go F yourself. Anthony knows how many times I put my fucking career on the line for him. Anthony was building a goddamn studio in his house. He was building a studio. He was already moving on to be a solo artist, you idiot. You want to ignore that fact? That he was spending way more time and cared way more about what he was building in his own house in his basement, you dope. No, I don't regret it. And I did what I could. And then he has to spin this shit. I'm in no mood, dude, because I'm seriously trying to get my shit back together. I'm in no mood. I did everything I could at the time to save Anthony. And then that son of a bitch spins it that I did nothing. It's all horse shit. But we live in a world of horse shit. We live in a world of fake fucking news and bullshit, and where the truth doesn't matter at all. Where morals don't mean crap. The fact is, he was already showing his hand and he was moving the fuck on.
I'll tell you this much. Those guys simply did not know how to do a radio show at all. Anthony certainly learned how to do a radio show. He took it upon himself to learn. Early on, I explained the ins and outs of radio to Anthony. He didn't know anything when I brought him on board. This is not me trashing Anthony, but he brought it upon him. He brought it upon himself, to learn the craft of radio. And the one thing I'll say about Anthony, he knows how to do radio. He knows how to get the people talking. He knows when to go to the phones. He knows how to change topics. Jim Norton never chose to learn the art of radio. So he literally has no credibility when it comes to talking about anything that happened as far as how a radio show runs. Okay? Anthony, all those years, he's like, well, man, I want to learn how to do this. And he did. And he knows how to structure a show and put a radio show together, when to move on, all that stuff. Jimmy just sat there like a pig waiting for celebrities to come in. And then he would bring in like a garage sale, basically, of junk for these guys to sign. That was his big motivation, to get as much of his junk signed as possible. So when he tries to talk about how a radio should run, he has no credibility in my eyes, because he chose never to learn how it actually works. Was he good at it at times when he played his role? 100%. But man, he was there more to just hang out with celebrities and have them sign his junk. They would set up card tables outside the studio. And these poor celebrities, they're like, how many things do I have to sign? Oh, there's only another 7. So when it comes to him talking about radio and how it works and how it's structured, no credibility as far as I'm concerned. Anthony, as much as I got my issues, I could say this: the guy learned how to do radio, and he knows how to structure a radio show. Okay. I'm going into business with a friend of mine. Any tips for having a successful partnership? Why are you asking me? I think my dad tried to give me this advice back in the day. When I met Anthony, I had a lot of years of experience in radio. This is no knock on Anthony. He had no experience whatsoever. He certainly does now. Okay, of course he does. And my dad was a big businessman until he wasn't, by the way. And he told me at the time, man, don't make him a 50-50 partner. Don't do it. Don't do it. All those years of experience you have should matter. Don't do it. Kind of wish I listened to him about that back in the day. But I have no advice for having a successful partnership. I don't think me and Anthony were a successful partnership. We certainly did an amazing radio show, but it was miserable from like 1999, 98 on. Didn't get along with the guy, but we put out an amazing product. So I'm not the guy to ask. And then the partner I had after Anthony, he died at a young age. And then the other partner I started working with, he died 6 months later. So why are you asking me about partnerships? Jesus. Why did you guys let Paltalk become such a big part of your show? Were they a sponsor? No, man. I never had anything to do with Paltalk. I was never on Paltalk. That was Anthony's thing that he focused a lot of time and attention on while we were doing our radio show. But I literally never posted on Paltalk. I didn't have a Paltalk screen in front of me. I'll tell you this much. When I would have to walk behind Anthony to go to the bathroom during breaks, he was very nervous. This is all true. People get so mad because of how honest I've been lately. But he would get really nervous that I was able to read the Paltalk screen because it came out years later. People that used to be a big part of the Paltalk room, they said, oh, yeah, Anthony was fucking trashing you on Paltalk while you guys were doing the radio show. So then every break, I would have to walk behind him to go to the bathroom. And there was always some awkward, him sort of covering the screen or making believe he had something else to do with his computer. And at first, I'm like, what the hell is that all about? And I had my suspicions. I couldn't really prove anything at the time. But then it did come out years later from a few fans that reached out to me and said, oh, yeah, that was happening on a pretty regular basis. I'm like, oh, that's just great.